Hey, I've been thinking about it, I should be the change. Ain't no doubt about it, you should be the change. Ain't no way around it if you're tired of the same. You wanna make a difference, you should be the change.
Through Global Music Match, each week I've been learning about incredible artists from around the world and the work that they do to make the world a better place. And this week's artist that I'm introducing you to, his name is SaulPaul from Austin, Texas. He's a musician with a message. His music has been described as acoustic and hip hop. He's so much more than that, as you will find out in this interview with SaulPaul.
I had to be quiet for 2 months after COVID. If you've done research, you know my story. I grew up an orphan, raised in foster care in the ghetto and whatnot. Anyway, my entire life has been challenging,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm an optimist. I look at my job as I go around, my cup's full.
Yeah.
So as a performer, as a person who does what I do, like I feel like my job is to show up and fill up others' cups.
Yeah.
But when COVID hit, and it's weird because people usually see me as the unique situation, like, oh, that's sad for you. You had a hard situation. I think we all go through stuff. But because of the pandemic, everybody's kind of like, oh, like we all got problems. Like people that thought they were like, yeah, oh, like you, like someone like you has a brother. Like I can't relate to that. I never, you know what I mean? It's like they don't realize, like, no, we all got problems. And the pandemic has hit like everybody simultaneously.
Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
I had to allow people space to deal with it how they wanted to instead of just immediately encouraging them.
Yeah.
Because I'm basically a perpetual optimist.
Mm-hmm.
No matter what happens, I see the good. I thank God I see things that way. So I have my sanity still.
One of the songs that first caught my eye was there was a photograph of I think you and what I thought might be your mother, but now I come to understand that it might be your grandmother because you wrote a song called Mother, which is so beautiful. And I read that and I'm so sorry that you lost your mother when you were 3, and that your father was absent, and so you were raised by your grandmother. Is that accurate?
Early.
Is she still alive?
She is not still alive. She actually she passed away when I was 17.
Oh wow, I'm sorry, that's young. Yeah.
Yeah, she passed away. She adopted me when I was 3. She passed away when I was 17. But her legacy lives on through me.
Mm-hmm.
On my most recent album, Be the Change, I have a song that's dedicated to her called The Quilt, because she used to, she did everything. She was awesome. She taught me what unconditional love was. She cooked well, and she also was a seamstress. In our kitchen was a sewing machine, and people would come and she would tailor their clothes, and other than that, she'd be knitting, and making quilts and whatnot. So on my most recent album, one of my previous albums, I dedicated a song to her called Mama.
Yep.
The one you were referring
Beautiful.
to. On my latest album, it's a song called The Quilt. The first song I ever wrote, professionally. The first lyric, first song, first bar, first verse was about her.
So
yeah, I've always honored her through my music. But yeah, she was amazing. I grew up in poverty, and didn't even know it. I mean, I knew I was poor, but when everybody's poor, you don't realize you're poor. It's just normal.
Yeah.
If everybody's right, like that's just how regular works. If everybody has purple hair, you don't feel different. Like that's regular. So I grew up in poverty, and it was like, oh, that's regular. But I saw people that were worse than me, so I thought we were like doing pretty good. But it's really because my grandmother was so amazing. Like, I've discovered love makes up for what you lack.
Yeah.
No matter what it is you lack, like just having love. That's why it's powerful to have someone special in your life, whether that's a spouse, a parent, a friend, whatever it is, whoever it is. And so she taught me that because I grew up in a little wood house sitting on bricks.
In Houston?
Yeah, where we got flooded. You know, you put on bricks so that when it rains, the house doesn't get flooded. And but my grandmother was amazing.
Wow.
I'm her legacy. Wow. If you see me, you've seen her.
Yeah, that is so beautiful. She is smiling down at you.
That's it.
Yeah. Okay, so I was trying to find, but I couldn't. Tower to Tower. Where can people watch this? And can you tell, like, wait, why are you laughing? Is it gone? Is it disappeared? Can you tell people about Tower to Tower? Because I love the meaning of the title. And then I was like, I really, really, really want to watch this. I will buy it.
Wow. Tower to Tower is
Oh.
it's my creative way. It's my story of how I went from prison incarceration to college graduation. You know, in prison, you don't have to go to know this. You watch TV, they always show like the tower, the watchguard tower, like where the dude with the rifle is. That's the first tower. So I was sitting in prison with a view. I would lay on my prison bunk and look through the plexiglass, past the barbed wire, and then there would be this big prison tower. And then I graduated from the prestigious University of Texas at Austin, which is a famous university, a very prestigious university, but famous. And it's famous for its clock tower. And so when I graduated from UT, it was like this momentous moment. Like just for me, like, wow, I remember being in prison looking at the watchguard tower. And here I was graduating from UT in the shade of the famous clock tower. Yeah. And so that's where tower, like, me being an artist, I was like, that's what I'm gonna call my project. And so my first album was called Tower to Tower. And then I made a movie about it because that's what my degree is in, radio, television, film. Wow. Really, I'm a storyteller. So whether I'm telling stories through songs or, on my guitar or a film or a mobile gaming app, a website, a blog, whatever it is, I just see it as telling a story. And it told the story, like this autobiographical story. It's a documentary about how I grew up with, how my mom died when I was 3, how my dad left, how I was in foster care, how my grandmother adopted me, how I was raised in poverty, how I got arrested by the FBI when I was 17 years old, how I went to prison when I was 20, how I got out of prison, then I went to the prestigious University of Texas at Austin. I graduated with a 4.0, and it tells that story. And, I was able to go and interview people and like get frontline detail. And so that's what Tower to Tower is. If you'd like to see it, I would send it to you. I'll send it to you. Like you can see it.
Yes, I can see it.
If anybody else wants to see it, they gotta if they get their Google game up, they can find it. Tower to Tower, the movie.
Okay. So were there people on that journey that you just described? I mean, I'm thinking your grandmother would be one of them, one of the key like role models in your brain and your being that you always can come back to that. But were there other people on that journey for you in either when you were incarcerated, coming out, that really were influenced you, or did it all come from within you? Like, was it already inside you that you're like, I got to turn this around and make my life into something much more positive? Like, what were the key people or moments or yeah. Pretty incredible.
That's a great answer. I mean, that's a great question. The simple answer is my faith. My faith in God is really what was my guiding light. That's what continually guides. Practically what that looks like is the answer to all those other questions are no. There were no people that helped, no positive people.
Nobody was lifting you up.
Yeah, no one lifting me up. And I share that because, and I'm not mad or bitter about it. I just like to be clear, like, no, I don't even know if people can believe that can exist. Like, it's crazy how we can be in this world and, I don't know, some people just not look out for their neighbor. And we can all be guilty of it. And then it's crazy when it gets like really, really big. But for me, what it was, my grandmother raised me. She passed away when I was 17. At that point, I got to talk about her a little bit more. My grandmother had like 16 kids, right?
What?
So my grandma, like she was like before, who are these famous people on reality shows and all the kids? She was like Brady Bunch times 2. So she has like 16 kids.
Whoa.
Yeah, crazy. A lot of aunts and uncles and a lot of cousins. But the thing is, my family was very unique. So my grandmother had so many kids, but she raised me as an only child. So when I'm 3 years old, she's 68 years old. Yeah. And she raises me as an only child. It's just me and Pearlie living in a 2-bedroom wood house sitting on bricks, no carpet, no AC. She's raising me on government, so she gets a Social Security check and some government assistance for food. So she's raising me, though, as an only child, and she's instilling pride in me, though. She wouldn't even change my last name. Like, I used to tell the story, like people, like, she could have got food stamps, right? Like, but she would have had to, like, legally adopt me and change my name so that she could claim me as a dependent or something, whatever, however that works. Okay. She wouldn't do it because, and I remember being like, she passed when I was 17, maybe we're having this conversation when I'm 15 or something. Because I would see other people in my neighborhood, they would get food stamps, and it was such a big deal. And I was like we don't get in. You're like $10 a month. This is like nominal. Like, what is this? And then she was like, yeah, I have to adopt you and I had to change your name. I'm like, cool, do it.
Yeah.
And she was like, no, like, right, I'm a kid. I'm like, I don't care. Like, do it. Let's go. I can get more cereal, right? More Doritos.
Yeah.
Something. But basically, she's like, no, I don't want you to. The only thing that you have from your mom is your last name. And I don't want to change that.
Wow.
I don't want to take that from you.
Yeah.
So it's crazy. I love to tell that story because, like, I didn't get it then. I'm like, okay, whatever. I'm going to go play Nintendo. But now I realize, like, how principled she was.
Yeah.
How she made sacrifices.
Yep.
And saw the bigger picture.
Yeah.
I think these are things that bleed over into how I move now. Like, sacrifices you have to make in the short term to accomplish the bigger goal. But she passes away when I'm 17. And then I was on my own. And even though I had lots of aunts and uncles, they were always in my life when I was growing up. But when she passed away, they all kind of disappeared. And I realized that I was raised as a family baby. So the family assisted her in raising me because it was hard, and they understood, like, here's this elderly woman raising this little infant. Yeah. But the truth is, I think they were there more for her than for me. And so when she passed away, I was on my own. And then I had to find my way. And I took a detour because I spun out of control. When she passes away at 17, she died on the 4th of July, which is Independence Day. In my young mind, I'm an artist, but I don't know it, right? Because, as artists, we see things deeper than the average person. And we catch nuances. And I'm like, oh, I get it, right? Like, my mom's gone, my dad's gone, my mom's dead, my grandmother's now deceased. Yeah. It's just me against the world. She passed on Independence Day. It's a sign. I'm independent.
Wow.
That's how I saw it. In America, right? In the U.S., the 4th of July is Independence Day. But in my young mind, I was like, this is my day of independence. And I felt alone, and I made choices like I was alone. Yeah. And by the time I was 23 years later, I was in the Texas State Penitentiary, convicted of 4 felonies because of poor choices. Who knows? I might even make the movie public because the movie, like, tells the story well. And it also tells it from the perspective of me to where, like, no, it's just me by myself. But the truth is that wasn't the truth. Because I go to prison, I get out, and then I had relatives that did step up and step into the situation. Apparently one of my aunts, she that's like a lyric from one of my songs. The first song that I was referring to was called I Remember. And there's this bonus 4th verse, and I say, some say aunt, I say aunt, some say aunt, it's whatever. Yeah. The fact is I started for life, for sure, forever. But
I say aunt.
But my aunt, she apparently she made a promise to my grandmother on her deathbed that she would, like, care for me. Okay. So when my grandmother passed away, I stayed with that relative for a year, like in her house, in the den on the couch. And then I go to prison and I feel like, I got this chip on my shoulder still, right? And I'm like, like, me against the world. But I get out, and then my aunt and my uncle, right, her husband, they again provided a place for me to stay and helped me get back on my feet. And then my aunt, that's when she told me, like, she made a promise to my grandmother that she would help me succeed. And she felt like a failure when I went to prison. She felt like she had let her mother down. But that wasn't the case. And now I'm doing really, really well. But my grandmother's not featured in the movie because she passed away before any of this happened. I just make legacy lives on through what it is that I do, through my successes. And if I put things in perspective, maybe it's in the intro, maybe not, but I don't mind sharing the ugly details of my past. But I'm also as bold about talking about my current successes. And as a musician with a message for the last decade, like, I've had the opportunity to perform at 5 Super Bowls, present 2 TED Talks, be on America's Got Talent. I make a good living my dream life as a musician with the message, as an artist. Really, I was just a rapper, and but I didn't like people putting me in a box saying I was just a rapper. So I learned how to play this beautiful instrument, this classical acoustic guitar, and started singing and started writing songs. Earlier this year, got nominated for my first Grammy.
That's
a bunch of other awards as well. So that's all credit to Pearly, hard work, and some faith.
So you just went over, because I was going to say you're a lot of things. You're not only a musician, you're a Grammy nominee, which is something that most of us can really only dream of. You're a filmmaker, you're a public speaker. I saw your really cool keynote recap. I heard the one with Brene Brown. I thought that was such a
Ah,
really cool thing to do. I'm going to share that for sure with my audience. You have your own clothing line, I read.
yeah, Mind Right Clothing. Let's
Is
see
that
here. We have it all, including
what is?
mask. Maybe I should do the
Oh, I was
rest of
like, what? Oh,
the rest of
yes.
the rest of this interview with my mask on.
You even got a filter
COVID.
in that. That's a high end product there.
It's funny. My grandmother used to call me nice tea nasty. That was her fancy way. I like to say bougetto. Even though I grew up ghetto, like I'm bougie. So I like nice things. I
Bougie.
don't care what it is.
Yeah.
I like
Mm-hmm.
nice, and
I like
I
that.
like to keep true to my essence. I like to. Uh, we don't get to pick
Yeah.
what we are, right? Like I was born black. I love
Mhm.
it. I didn't pick it, but I love it, even though I might be judged because of it and ostracized. And that's why many things are happening in the world right now with systemic injustice and oppression and various things. Like you don't
Mhm.
pick some things, but you are what you are.
Mhm.
And me, I didn't pick to be born in the ghetto,
Mhm.
but I was, and now I love that because you can't go manufacture that.
Yeah.
Uh, I lived it. It's a lived experience. It's mine. I no longer live there because I have different goals and aspirations,
Yeah.
and so I think I get to continue on, like my grandmother said, like nice tea nasty,
Mhm.
bougie but ghetto, like ghetto but bougie, and it works. It's kind of like I'm this rapper and I play classical acoustic guitar. Like I like contradictions and juxtaposition, things that don't go together, and find how they fit and make them work.
What's inspiring to me is that you're now like you are exemplifying. You are the change. Your campaign be the change. I mean, you're living it. You are walking the walk, and you're using your you know mistakes in life as an opportunity for growth and teaching children, which is so powerful. I have this theory I wanted to run by you, and I'm not a professional theorist, so bear with me.
As musicians, I think we are. Like,
Yeah, okay, I can make that claim. So that trauma, and there's so many as at a young age, and for you, losing your mother, even though you're very, very young, but I mean, um, still, and absent father, and I mean, the number of other adversities that you had to face, um, trauma specifically, what it does to the brain, especially at a young age, and there are some people that it can really ruin your life, and then for other people
yes.
it makes you stronger, it makes you um, a really great problem solver, and also able to think of so many scenarios because you're used to living in a way that to get out of to protect yourself, to stay safe, to protect the ones you love, to try to get to a more, I guess, a place of safety. And I feel like you support my theory that in that, you're of the ones that has, any adversity or trauma in your history has made you a stronger person, and given you these skills and tools that you have learned, that maybe you weren't born with, like if you had had a safe, easier upbringing, not that you wouldn't have any problems, everybody has problems, but like that maybe you wouldn't, be as amazing as you are. You've done so much, and it's all these incredible skills that you have, and your ability to connect, from what I can tell watching your videos, your TED Talks. I haven't had time to see all of them because there's a lot, and also watching your music videos, they're so vibrant and positive and diverse. Like it's the diversity within them, how you celebrate, like you can tell you celebrate diversity. um yeah, just I see nothing but a bright light, and like it makes me happy to even talk about it. I don't know you very well,
Thank
but
you.
I don't throw the word pride around too much, but like I don't know you, but can I feel pride for you? Like proud? I'm so proud of you, and what you're
Please
doing
do. Yeah,
with your
we're all connected. Like I try to get back to that. You said it. Thank you for everything you said. I think you're an artist, so like when you write a song, for example, with a song, I don't know, like if I'm performing a song, I know what's supposed to happen. Like if it works well, it's like the mousetrap, right? Like people should gasp here, or they should laugh there, or be like, that was slick there, or feel like it's an inside joke there. Like if it works, if it lands, that's what's supposed to happen.
Yeah.
And so like everything you just shared are like, well, if I'm doing it right and it works, like people should say what you said. I'm glad that it's evident that everything you just said, especially like the diversity piece. That's why I'm quick to talk about diversity. It's like people get uncomfortable. Like, whoa, some people got uncomfortable when I mentioned a few minutes ago I'm Black. Like nobody noticed that till I said it. Like, really?
I definitely noticed it.
Right? It's like, instead of like trying to ignore it and act like it's all good, and so how about we actually acknowledge and actually celebrate diversity? It's the same with adversity. Like instead of it's the elephant in the room, let's own that, and then let's ride that. So it's cool, and that's really what when I had a chance to interview you, I asked you about your mission because it stood out. You were like, you make music and you have different messages you want to communicate to people, and it's the same with me as a musician with the message. Like my mission is to make the world better. And like literally to be the change and to change the world. And there are 7 billion people on the planet. And I'm like, that's the goal. Now I get that everyone might not accept what I share, but my goal is to provide access to it. And so it's a big goal that keeps me busy. And I want to go help other people live their best life and appreciate diversity as well.
Yeah, you're nailing it. And having a Grammy nomination too would, I think, help, especially in terms of reaching more people. And that's the thing about awards, right? Like it's not so much about getting the award unless, I mean, that can be nice to be, like to have recognition from your peers and whatnot, but the opportunity to reach more people with your message, that's what's really awesome about, and to promote your message as your brand. So something like a Grammy nomination is just really, it's just, it's not something that most people
that one really blew the mind. It's like when people want like in my opinion, like PhDs.
Yeah.
There's 2 different types. Some people want it so they can feel good that they have it.
Yeah.
Some people need it because of the focus, the attention to detail in the topic. But I think there's a good portion that just want it for the sake of wanting it. But me, I just think about, but I guess when it comes to, I'm honored by it because it's very, very special. It's unique. You can't manufacture it. But I often think about like you miss it when you in any award. If the goal is the award, right? Like they're 5. That's why I'm as excited about a Grammy nomination as I would be a Grammy, because like if you win a Grammy, does that mean that like the other 4 people weren't great? Like it doesn't work. But I like to look at it from the perspective of, because I've seen people do this. It's something I speak to. Like many people don't think of it like that, and it's like, well then. It's like a Super Bowl. If somebody goes to a Super Bowl and you don't win the Super Bowl, then it's like, no, you lost the Super Bowl. And it's like, no, I played in the Super Bowl. It's just perspective.
Yeah.
And it's appreciation and gratitude. And I think that's a part. Like, I am a perpetual optimist. So, like, the best thing that ever happened to me was going to prison. I spent all my time trying to dissuade young people from going to prison. So I don't celebrate prison. I'm just like, no, me going to prison allowed me to realize I like to read. I got to learn about myself, just like COVID, right? We were on quarantine and sheltered home, and then people have developed new skills.
Yeah.
So no, I don't wish a pandemic on the next generation, but it's like the way
incarceration.
What's that?
Or you don't wish that, or incarceration on anybody?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I just try to make it plain because people will miss it. They're like, yeah, he's talking about incarceration. I mean, incarceration, pandemic, tomato, tomato. It's a life circumstance that you wouldn't have wished for. And then it happens.
Yeah.
And how do you deal with it?
Talking to the Finnish girls in an interview, I learned from doing some research about Finland that they celebrate October 13th, the Day of Failure, where everyone is encouraged to talk about their mistakes and failures and what they learn from them. And
wow,
we don't have a day like that, and I think we should. And it's I think if you could start one in the United States, and I'll start one in Canada, and we could be the poster the poster artist
Got
for
a theme
that
song for it.
movement. But
Hmm.
it's nothing, and it's nothing. Our mistakes aren't anything to be. I mean, I guess in some cases perhaps, but like ashamed of. It's like these were opportunities for growth, and you don't. I don't know, like I mean, you grow the most from the hardest things in your life, the hardest losses,
Yeah.
the hardest relationships. And, some people, like, you're the kind of person that clearly uh, wants to do better when you know better. That's, we know when we know better, we most of the time do better. I don't know. Maybe that was a Brene Brown quote. Um, but
She's awesome.
yes, she is remarkable.
I love what she's done. Like she's blazed a trail. She's made
Mhm.
like there are rock stars. Like she's a rock star, but
Yeah.
people with her pedigree and her background education and what she
Mhm.
does for a living aren't the people that get Netflix specials.
Mhm.
Yet she has one. They're
Mhm.
not the ones who give keynotes at major conferences like South by Southwest. Yet she
She's doing
does.
them
You know, she's
all.
a
Yeah.
collegiate professor, and yet she's like changing the game. Things
Yeah.
like that inspire me to see
Yeah.
people be like, I don't have to change who I am to go do something. Like I
Yeah.
can do it from where I'm at
Mhm.
in my
And
lane.
it's especially like I would call her, maybe coin her, the rock star of authenticity and vulnerability. Let's make
Mm,
Oprah maybe the rock star of authenticity, and Brene Brown the rock star of vulnerability. And those two things are pretty powerful. And
powerful.
they make it cool to be authentic, to be vulnerable. Those are hard things. I think we're all getting better at it, and the world is a better place when we're able to do that. And I see you doing that. It's really cool. And I wanted to ask you, have you been to Canada?
I have a few times now. My first time was to Vancouver, which is
Mm,
beautiful. That was West Coast. Then I went to Toronto. I
mhm.
was quite excited because I hadn't been to the East Coast, and everybody told me it would be cold. And I went in February, and they were like, "Oh no, you don't want to go to Toronto in February," but I did. It
Yeah,
wasn't as cold as they all made it seem.
it can be.
It was
Can
dreary and cold the whole time. What's
you
that?
were you were lucky. You sounds like you got lucky.
Yeah, I know, right? They're like I missed it. I left there and I flew to Chicago, and then it was like cold for real, snowing.
Oh,
But then I went back to Vancouver. I've been to Vancouver a couple of times, but most recently I went to Whistler Mountain
uh-huh. Yeah.
in Vancouver, which was beautiful.
But
Uh,
yeah.
yeah,
To
yeah,
perform, or were
Whistler.
you for fun, or were you
Yeah,
there entertaining?
performing all time. Yeah, performing each time.
And did we treat you well?
Exceptionally well. Yeah, I like the colorful money. I love being a tourist. Like I go, I was like spending my money. Like I gave them 20, they gave me like $17 back, I think. And it was all colorful, like rainbow money. I just
I
saved
like
it.
the color of your
Um,
money. That's a great song. I like the color of your money. Can you write that song?
we
And
could.
no, you, Ode to Canada.
Yeah. Uh,
I
you mean
want you
like
to,
now
oh no, I
or
want you to
later?
write a song about me, and I want
Oh,
it to be called "I Like the Color of Your Money." And just,
yeah,
yeah, it
yeah.
can.
No, they treated me well. What's that dish? I can't remember it now.
Poutine, poutine.
That's it.
Yeah,
It
I know
was like,
because
what is this?
my
Wherever we go, do they have
my
the poutine?
my
Yeah.
brother's here visiting from Florida, and we went to Cape Breton Island in Nova Scotia this weekend, and he ordered, I think, about eight poutines. Like he really stocks up before he goes back to Florida. So yeah, the
Yeah,
poutine. That's
poutine. That's it. I was like, that's interesting. Yeah.
yeah. It
And
does
then the
taste.
syrup. When I was in Toronto, no, it might have been on the West Coast, but yeah, the maple syrup or the
Yep.
syrup. That's why I stood out to when you mentioned the syrup factory. Like, I know
Mm-hmm.
that's a thing there. I was like, this syrup is, yeah.
Well,
I
then,
like Canada.
and in this part of the world where we live, a majority of the maple syrup is from here. It's made here and shipped out. And I'm not a maple syrup specialist, but we do have a couple maple sugar houses around here where you can go, and they tell you all about how maple syrup is made, maple sugar. It's really cool. So if you come
It is.
visit, then we can take you on a maple sugar camp tour. But actually, February would be the best and worst time to come for that, because it's very,
Yeah, everyone
very.
told me I have to come back to come back in the summer or like a non-winter month. I still haven't had the chance to experience the East Coast of Toronto, the East Coast of Canada in its prime.
Any favorite authors, books, artists that you can recommend to inspire creators? A lot of my followers are like creators themselves that you can recommend that helped shape your journey as an artist. Like for me, it was The Artist Way, and there's a lot of Julia Cameron and Natalie Goldberg is another writer writing about writing, and then there's David Byrne who wrote How Music Works. That was a great book for me. But yeah, do you any come to mind for you?
I wish. No, but I think I'm different. I learn uniquely. I would encourage people to look at nature. Like I learn from nature. It's funny. Like I'll go to, like when I went to Vancouver. Vancouver is beautiful. Downtown is beautiful. I remember telling my friend like how beautiful it was, and he was like, "Yeah, no, it's by design. Like they passed laws, and you couldn't build to block the sunset. It was very unique how they did it. But downtown was it was intentional, right? But then when you look at nature, then we drove up to like where they had the Olympics at or something in the mountains. Yeah. And I'm looking at the mountains, and I'm like, yeah, like downtown was beautiful, but this is more beautiful. And I look at the mountains because it's like nature, and I learn from that. I learn how when I study nature, and you understand how ants work, or you research a mockingbird or an eagle, and you start to like these nuances. And I think like there's wisdom hardwired in nature, and I like to research that and get those jewels. So yeah, no books. The books that I read are usually like to free my mind. So I like novels, and I think John Grisham is an amazing author, and I read a lot of business books. Actually, the books that I read are usually business generated because I kind of feel like the art I got figured out. Like me, I'm just naturally creative. But I knew that the gap for me was, well, I'm really talented, but like I want to make a living making music. I want to get paid to do what I love. Yeah. And me being great at something doesn't equate to me being paid for it. Yeah. So I invested my time understanding like business so that I could monetize my own talent instead of having to like go find someone to hire me to do the thing that I love. Because I was just a glorified employee. And even my grandmother who grew up, my grandmother was even an entrepreneur. That's why we had a sewing machine in the kitchen. Like she was like a professional babysitter. She would like be a seamstress for clothes. I would always see that so that entrepreneurial spirit's in me. So most of my books are business books. Yeah, cool. The novels of John Grisham, and I look to nature to learn. Yeah, love it. What do you want to tell people about your new album? Be the change. My take on Be the Change, you see it right here behind me, is the fact is we all live on the same planet. That's indisputable. But the truth is, that's subjective, right? The truth is we each live in our own world. I encourage everyone to be the change in the world you live in. So you don't have to worry about what the next person's not doing, what your neighbor's not doing, what the government's not doing. You have a sphere of influence, no matter how big or how small. And I encourage you to be the change in the world that you live in. And my album is the soundtrack for that. It's like really a bridge album. Right now, I believe there's a lot of division in the world. People see all the distinctions, and they're so separate. I like to celebrate diversity and to truly create an inclusive atmosphere. So though this is my umpteenth album, on this album I decided to be purposely collaborative. So I have 7 different, like 7 of the tracks featured guest artists. And I'm proud of the guest artists because they never talk about this stuff, but I do. Like, I don't know, they're just so great. Like one is a Latin Grammy Award winner, one is a Grammy Award winner, there's a Grammy Award winning producer, there's 2 Grammy nominated artists, there's a young black and gifted violinist, there's a Jamaican artist, and each song is just a different vibe. So we got pop, dance, folk, Latin, dance hall, but it's all cohesive. And I produced it and I wrote it. So like there goes the cohesion. It's kind of like me. I like to mix styles. At the end of the day, I just like to make music that's entertaining, inspiring, and empowering.
Yeah, that defies genres. Very, very cool. I'm excited for you and congratulations on all your successes and no doubt your future successes. I have some fun facts about Austin for our viewers that you could help
I'm
me.
thinking barbecue
Uh,
right now.
yeah, yeah, I know,
Tacos,
right? Yeah.
barbecue
Um,
tacos and tacos.
well, what's can you name a breakfast food that describes Austin?
Breakfast taco.
There you go.
Uh,
Boom. That's what the
yeah,
internet said.
yeah. It's a real thing.
Uh,
I thought
mhm.
tacos were everywhere and we just had the best ones, but they're not everywhere. Like I go to
No, no.
LA and they don't even have tacos. Like I'm like, like they were like, what do you mean? Like you don't have breakfast tacos? Like for those that
Yeah.
don't know, it's a tortilla, it's egg, it's a special something that goes along with it. Whether
Hmm.
that be potato.
Special sauce.
Uh, what's that?
Special sauce.
Special sauce? Yeah.
Hmm.
The sauce makes the difference. Yeah.
Yeah. And yeah, because we have taco trucks here in the cities, but we don't really hear very often, let's go for breakfast tacos. So that's a very cool thing. And I
Yeah.
remember about
Breakfast
Austin too.
tacos.
So have you ever participated in Eors Birthday?
I do have a sordid history. Yes.
Yes. Okay. I was there
Like we didn't
once.
talk about. Yeah, we had like SaulPaul. There's like a before and an after.
So,
Um,
but
yeah,
even
like
even
Saul.
even after Paul, now Paul, Saul Paul, um,
Explaining it
like you
Saul partied hard. Saul.
Saul
Yeah.
partied hard. What? Saul
Yeah.
partied hard. Saul Paul partied hard.
Saul partied hard. Yeah. Saul,
Okay.
not just Paul,
Well,
like Saul partied hard.
nothing
So
wrong with
Eor's
that,
birthday, it's vague. I mean, I was
Sure.
there.
A little cloudy.
I think I was legendary when I was there, but I don't
Hmm.
remember much of it. So yeah, I've
Well,
celebrated Eor's birthday.
I was there once, but totally sober because there were times in my life where I was yeah, just no drugs, no drinking. And I was there sober and thought it was really interesting, just really like a really diverse crowd and like all the drumming and definitely some different characters, like
Right there you
for
go.
sure. Like, and everyone was welcome. So I guess you can experience Eor's Birthday without like partaking in any substances. Because I did.
You're a good ambassador for him. Me, I'm like, I don't know. Yeah.
Well, I mean, I used to be a fan for like when in Rome, like, just do as the Romans would do, but not so much anymore. But that's just me. But I thought it was so, okay, for those of you who don't know it, Eor's Birthday, it's a celebrated birthday of the fictional character from Winnie the Pooh. Since 1963, this has been happening. And usually happens the last Saturday in April. And I can picture the park that it's in, but I
The
don't know
park. Yeah.
what it's
Right there
called.
on North Lamar. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And a lot of people are there in like colorful, vibrant costumes, and there's live music and drum circles. It's really neat. So
It was when Austin was at its peak. Keep Austin weird.
yeah, Austin
Yeah.
is weird
It
and
was like the epitome.
wonderful. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
where I learned too that it's okay to be weird, especially when you live in Austin.
Yeah. I love it. I like to say I was born in Houston, but I was musically birthed in Austin.
Yeah.
And that's to my benefit. It
Hmm.
made me approach my craft different, think out
Hmm.
the box, and be open to different things. So
Yeah, very cool. Okay, so have you ever been to in Austin the Cathedral of Junk?
no, not that I
Yeah,
know of,
me
and not on
either.
purpose.
No, me either.
Okay.
But there's apparently a cathedral of junk, and it's like a favorite for tourists. I've never been. I didn't. I just learned about it like this week when I was. I've been to a lot of
I
places in
think that's
Austin.
the craziest thing. Like people will come visit because Austin's one of those what's top of all the list right now. Like oh, why you gotta go? So we have so many tourists and people come and then they'll text me and be like, "Bro, I'm in town. Let's connect." And then they'll mention something like that, like,
Yeah.
"Yeah, so we're going to the Cathedral of Junk," and I'm like, "Yeah, is
What?
that here?" I don't. They're
Yeah.
like, "Yeah, it's over." I'm like,
I know you know about this next thing. So Austin has the largest urban bat colony in North America, and during the spring and summer,
"We
about
don't
one
do
point.
that." I sit
Yeah,
down the street from there.
yeah, that's pretty
It's
cool.
5 minutes
So,
down Congress.
have you gone to watch the bats come out at
Oh yeah,
night?
definitely.
Yeah.
Too many times to count. Uh, that's one of the go-to when people come to town. I'm like,
Hmm.
I don't know about the Cathedral of Junk, but at sunset, At sunset, we're gonna go to Congress Bridge.
Yeah.
And it's so cool because they'll be like, I mean, it's a beautiful view anyway. Like the sun is setting, you see the lake on the bridge. And there's people all lined up along the bridge. And they're like, what's going on? What's going on? And I'm like, just wait for it.
Yeah.
And then, like the sun drops and then the bats come out and they're like, whoa.
It's incredible.
Bats.
Yeah. Yeah, I thought it would be like just 4 or 5 coming out, Mexican free-tailed bats coming out, but there are thousands. It says there's 1.5 million Mexican free-tailed bats migrate to Austin and emerge from under the Congress Bridge every night. And 1.5 million every night. That's a lot.
You can't miss them. Like they cover the sky. Yeah.
Yeah. We have bats in our attic here for a while. But
that's different.
I know. Yeah. About 400, we counted them, and then we had them humanely removed. And
are you serious? Are you serious right now? You have 400 bats in the attic?
We did, yeah. There might have been more, and then we had to have somebody come and take
that's
care
a mean waiting to happen right there. That's like you got to burn the house. Like it's kind of like what people say about 2020. They're like, get rid of the whole year, just trash the whole year. Like we have to move. I can't stay in the house with like.
Well, it was just after, we didn't know when we bought the house, but the previous owners are supposed to reveal this information to you, and we didn't find out about it until we'd moved in. But luckily, the insurance covered the whole cleanup, and the bats were humanely removed. But then in Nova Scotia, all of the bats died because of this disease, and so now we are missing the bats. But anyway, that's just another.
Sounds like the premise for a horror movie.
Yeah. I won't.
Like, all the bats died, and it's like, why? And then that's the premise for the movie.
Yeah, and I will spare you the details of the bats that actually came in through the house. Anyway, that's a whole other. But listen, I'm so I feel privileged to be able to meet you and to now know your music, and I hope that we get to meet in person. If there's anything I can do when it comes to Canada, Europe touring, any of my contacts. In collaborations in the future, I'm just so happy to have had this time. I feel lucky to have had this one-on-one time with you. Thank you.
I feel the same. Glad you're in my group, and I believe our entire group is a standout. Like we got we got one of the best.
We got a great team. We got a great team. So people can, you have a website. Is it where do you want people to find out more about your stuff? I'm gonna be
just like what it says on my hat, like. SaulPaul, you drop a .com on it, you can get at me worldwide. It's basically SaulPaul.com.
Yeah.
Everything else, social media is SaulPaul. Just Google me, you'll find me.
I'll be sharing. I'm really hungry now. I'm hungry for a breakfast taco.
I've been shining so bright, simply 'cause you raised me right. Yeah, and you gave me so much game. I'ma make sure the whole world